Hi, I'm Kerry. I'm the host of Best of Us Investors. I'm a retired financial advisor, and we're in the midst of a stock market storm. And what I've realized is some of you have never been in a stock market storm before, so you're caught off guard. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to react. If you've never been in a hurricane, and you don't really know what a hurricane is and what it looks like, you don't know how to react and how to move forward. And I think the other element that comes into this is you have to focus on what your ultimate goal is in investing to get you through the storm. And if you haven't experienced it and you don't have a clear plan, they can be devastating. They can be just nerve-wracking and take you down. I've been through, in my adult life, two of these storms, one the dot-com bubble and one the subprime crisis. And my observation is in both cases, they are a result of an event, something that changes the world that we're in, and then usually some mismanagement, some overexuberance that is created by whatever. In the dot-com bubble, mismanagement of the banks in the subprime crisis, and mismanagement of the pandemic in our current storm. A lot of people are saying this is a result of inflation. This is a result of higher interest rates. This is a result of the war. Well, the first two of them are really a result of the pandemic and the government's management of that pandemic and bringing it down to very easy terms to understand. The inflow here in the United States of $9 trillion of funny money into the markets that are now having to be accounted for. And they're being accounted for in the forms of inflation and higher interest rates and trying to slow the economy down from the $9 trillion that came in as a result of the pandemic. And as I've been beating on this desk for the last 2 years, the most important event that has happened in your life relative to your investments is the pandemic. And if you'll keep that in focus and then move forward with that in focus, you'll be okay. And that's what this video is about. How are you going to be okay? And how am I going to be okay? And what I want to share with you beyond how you weather a storm is what happens after the storm and how you can profit off of it. Each storm that I just mentioned, the dot-com bubble and the subprime crisis, resulted in change that resulted in exponential growth of the following stock market. Well, that works real well if you know where that change is going to materialize itself and result in increasing prices in companies that you're invested in. So let's take the storm for what it is and understand how we have to hunker down. But more importantly, let's look past it. And let's look at that clearing out there and ask ourselves, what's going to happen next? And how can I position myself accordingly? At the end of this video, I'm going to share with you roughly 80% of my portfolio so that you know what my experience and my knowledge that I've acquired over the last 77 3/4 years tells me is going to put me in a position to make millions off of this storm, off of this bad situation. How do I turn it into a good one? This is not financial advice by any means. This is financial education, and I hope you'll take it as that and put me on your list of educators. And you can do that by giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. But let me do what the lawyers tell me I have to do.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Okay, something I want to start with is a premise that I think you have to establish if you're going to be an investor. And that is, what is your goal? What is your written down goal of what you want to achieve? This is my goal. I want to invest in companies that are going to change the way I live and give my portfolio exponential growth over the next 5 years. Okay? That hangs over my computer. Every day I see that. And that gives me guidance when someone says to me, like happened Friday in our Zoom call for our tribe, I trade options and I make money in a bear market. Well, that's appealing. Tell me about that. If I do that, I take my focus off my goal. If I take my focus off my goal and become a day trader, a swing trader, an options trader, all I'm guaranteeing is I will not achieve my goal. I will be diverted into another direction. So whatever your goal is, write it down. Put a picture like I did of myself on it and commit yourself to it, and then make that your objective every day to invest in companies that are going to change the way I live and give my portfolio exponential growth over the next 5 years. Can I be any more precise than that? That's what I want you to do. And then when you do that, whatever your goal is, align yourself with other people who share that goal with you and will help you achieve your goal. What do I mean by that? There is no reason for me to watch YouTubers about day trading because I don't do it. Even swing trading, I don't do it. There is no reason for me to read a book on day trading for dummies. No reason. But there is a reason for me to read a book about how the history of Google, or in my case, where I have a big interest in life sciences, to learn more about CRISPR. Because that is part of my goal of finding companies that are going to change the way I live. There is no reason for me to research a company in cannabis because I don't smoke dope, among other reasons. So I want to have a passion about the companies that I invest in. So if I can do that, I can gain a leg up. I gain a chance at becoming the smartest guy at the table at which I wish to play. Okay? That's my advantage, to be smarter than the next guy that I'm competing with, to take myself out of the game with Wall Street. Okay. As I focus on my goal, I recognize, as I've said, we're in a period of change. The last major change that I saw and have focused on was the Digital Revolution 1.0. And that was the introduction of the operating systems from Apple and Microsoft. But that then took us into search, which gave us Google and a number of companies, but Google and then e-commerce, and that gave us Amazon. And then further down the line, social media, and that gave us companies like Facebook. So now what I need to do is understand the Digital Revolution 1.0 and 2.0, which were all about giving me free what I wanted in exchange for my data. Okay? If I understand that, and I understand how Google makes money and how Apple makes money and Amazon makes money, and I understand it's all built around me relinquishing my data, I can then figure out, as I look at the developments in the world around me, what is going to be Digital Revolution 3.0 and who are going to be the players and what's going to stimulate it. Well, what's going to stimulate it is artificial intelligence. And that is taking all the knowledge in the world out of the cloud and organizing it and sorting it and not giving me what I want to know, but what I need to know, what I must know in order to move on in my life healthier, happier, safer, and more productive. If I can identify the companies that are going to do that, I can profit, because here in the United States and roughly all around the world, we have the privilege of investing in companies and people who are smarter than we are. That's a wonderful privilege. I don't have to develop the Digital Revolution 3.0, which will organize all the data that Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Amazon have gathered over the last 23 years and are now putting up for sale to somebody who can organize it and then give it back to me to save my life. What do I mean by that? Well, would you agree with me that in the cloud, every piece of information relative to healthcare is in the cloud? Right now, it's not shareable because of government regulations and privacy regulations. But if it were all available and every piece of knowledge were available about a soft tissue sarcoma in the human body, and every treatment that ever was applied to a soft tissue sarcoma in the human body was available in 2012, if all that information was available and every person who was treated for a soft tissue sarcoma, their treatment was available to me and my daughter's doctor, what is the likelihood, if all that information was available, that my daughter would be alive today? What do you think? If all that data was available relative to soft tissue sarcomas, would my daughter be alive today? Yes. Yes, she would. I have a friend who has a 6-month-old daughter, and she is suffering seizures. Like sometime on Easter Sunday, it lasted for 3 hours. I think she's 6 to 8 months. Okay, she has a rare genetic disease, but there is limited amounts of data available on this rare genetic disease. Why? Because it's not organized, it's not sorted, and it's not legally accessible at this point. Well, if someone were able to make that data available to my friend, his wife, and his daughter, what do you think the improvements of that young girl's life could be? I think the improvement would be 99% better. Well, if that were possible, and what I'm telling you is it is possible, how would your life change? If you've got 5,000 cars moving down an interstate at 70 miles an hour, coming at each other, and you have all the data available in the world, in the past, relative, and in the current moment, what is the potential for safe travel if all that data is available? What if all the data is available for the supply chain? Knows where every ship is, where every box is, where every truck is right now. What's the potential for improving the supply chain? If all that data is available, that's data it isn't data that you're going to pick your phone up and say, where's my package? That's a need to know. No, that's a want to know. A need to know is, where's the baby formula for my baby that is about to die? That's data that you must know. That's the Digital Revolution 3.0. How about virtual education? This is what Elon wants to do. He wants to put a chip in the back of my neck, so that anything I want to know, anything that is available through Google or anything that is available relative to soft tissue sarcoma is in the back of my neck. That's digital revolution, probably 5.0. But you need to know it's coming, and you need to know if you are interested in knowing what it's going to take to go into space travel. Or what about alternative energy? How fast could the world change relative to energy consumption if all the knowledge was available at the push of a button? There are companies that are doing that are going to make that possible. If I know who they are, and I know who the president of the company is and the CEO, and I can study them and then invest in them, what are my chances of becoming filthy rich? How about cybersecurity? Is there a need to know there or a want to know? I think the answer, and I hope what I'm talking about is starting to come clear. I have chosen to look past the storm. I've chosen to evaluate the effects of the pandemic and what the opportunities are going to be as a result of it. I'm not worried about interest rates. I'm not worried about inflation. And I'm really not worried a lot about the war. I think Vladimir will be taken care of. So what do then I do for Carrie to take advantage of all this? This is 80% of my portfolio. And you're going to see that I have changed from the big 6 to the big 7. And they include Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, NVIDIA, and Palantir. What I've shown you here is their current market caps, their current price, the number of shares I own, their current value, and then I'm basically giving a factor, I believe it's a multiple of 5, that is basically my recap of what they collectively have done in the last 5 years, and saying they'll achieve that same growth rate over the next 5 years. As you'll see, this is a 2030 portfolio, but I've adjusted it to make it a little bit clearer for the next 5 years. Now, the one that is deviating from that 5 factor is Palantir. I believe Palantir selling at $8 a share is the undiscovered element of Digital Revolution 3.0. They're going to be the company that I have identified at this point that I believe is going to organize the data on soft tissue sarcoma so that no one else's daughter needs to die from a soft tissue sarcoma. Okay? So they're the organizer. This is the Microsoft, the operating program for the Digital Revolution 3.0. Then what I do is I've chosen that area of my interest, my passion, and that's life sciences, and that's disease in the bodies. So I have chosen companies that are involved in genome therapy, genome sequencing, pharmaceutical AI, and genome data. And you have a list of them there with their market caps. I'm not saying their market caps are accurate at this point. I think their prices are. And I'm basically saying that in the next 5 years, I've given them an X factor of growth. So that's what I think that part of my portfolio will be worth. Now, some of these will exceed my expectations, and some of them won't meet my expectations and may be sucked up by somebody else or may file bankruptcy. But I believe genome therapy, genome sequencing, and pharma artificial intelligence are the biggest growth areas that I have a passion for. And so that's how I then stay true to my investment overall goal that hangs over my computer and reads, invest in companies that are going to change the way I live and give my portfolio exponential growth over the next 5 years. That's my investment philosophy. That's my focus. I suggest to you that if your focus lines up with mine, then come join my tribe and work with me, not off me, but with me for us to achieve our goals. If your goal is something different, then go find a tribe that you can join and be a part of. Understand, this digital revolution has benefits for you as well, and they are what is called a Discord. And a Discord is a meeting place where people of like minds come together and exchange ideas. Now, that used to be called a clubhouse. Okay? But in the digital world, we don't all have to drive to the parking lot and come in and sit down. We can do it through a Zoom call, or we can do it through a Discord and do it 24 hours a day and exchange ideas to help each of us achieve our common goal. And our common goal is to make better investment decisions, to keep more of what we make by understanding our tax code. We had a very long discussion Friday about that and setting up an LLC. And then to achieve our goal of passing on a sizable nest egg onto our heirs so that we change the lives of those who follow us. Okay? This is a privilege that really has no ticket price. All it requires is you to focus, you to make some decisions, and you to take charge of your life. Okay? I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm the host of Best of Us Investors, the chief of the Best of Us Investors tribe, and I invite you to join us. But first, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and then go find your tribe. Talk to you again tomorrow.